We just have a business plan now.
We totally do. Oh my gosh.
I know.
We're so good at
Toilet paper to go,
So-
and men are going to get stalls. Because what is
stalls
this?
for all.
Build the wall.
Yep. We're building walls. This might be a very silly podcast.
Let them take me as far as they want to go. And it's time for me to say, they won't break me, I'm braver than I know. I was made for this. Oh, such a time as this.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay, so
Yes. Hi.
hi.
Hello.
Welcome. We're here. We're not going to tell you where we are today, though. This is
I
going
know.
to be a little secret location.
Drop it
We
down
are
in the
on
comments.
location. We are. Where in the world is Unfiltered?
Where
oh, that's
are
so
we?
good. Where in the world is It's like Carmen San Diego.
That's right.
I love
Put
it.
your
Oh,
guesses in the comments.
Those were the good years. Carmen San Diego,
did
Oregon
love it.
Trail. Like, what? We got to
Yes.
bring stuff like that back.
I did
for
like
real.
that.
That was such a good time.
I had forgotten about that.
That was good stuff.
There
in
were
life.
some good things from back.
And like, where's Waldo?
Yes.
Yes, I know.
Did they ever find him?
No.
Is he
He's
still
still
just
lost.
some hippie on a beach in his
He's
striped
still,
shirt?
he's still
and-
lost in his stripes somewhere.
He's
Yep.
probably living the best life.
Yep. So you remember the little, I forget what it was called, but those little books that had like the little Goldberg, and it was like you had to find the little, and I forgot what it was called, and now it's going to drive me crazy. But it was like Our Town or Little People or Little Town or whatever, like the children's books.
Yep.
And I saw something the other day that said, something about that life is not what I thought it was going to be. And then it was like, well, this is what I was basing it on. And it was this children's book of like, everyone was so kind and the mailman was nice. And like
They did make you think when you
They
grew
did.
up it was going to be this beautiful, friendly
yeah,
world. And then,
No,
I
it's
opened
not.
the wrong book.
It's not. Adulting is definitely, I always tell kids, I'm like, don't hurry. Don't hurry. Why are you hurrying? I'm like, adulting comes with bills and life and responsibility and all that stuff.
It's not always fun being an adult.
It's not. It's fun like 20% of the time, and 80% of the time it's not.
I know.
But
But man, grab onto that 20%.
you got to grab
and love
onto that.
every minute of it.
I know.
So,
And that, see, we segued again. Oh my gosh, you're so good at this.
Yes.
I'm not even kidding you, because today we're talking about parenting, like mothers and parenting and children.
Oh,
And I think that also is like a 2080. No, I'm just kidding.
Ooh.
No, but there are different parts
yes.
that are awesome and wonderful. And then a lot of it is just the mundane,
hard.
everyday
It's hard.
stuff. And so, yeah, I wanted to talk about that today.
Have you noticed, because I have, that moms don't seem to be allowed to voice openly the hard part about it? I
completely
really
agree
didn't
with that.
like today, or
Yes. Yes.
that should become normalized.
Yeah, like, why are you complaining? Well, because it's hard. It's really
I
hard.
know why they're complaining. I was shopping all morning, like you know,
Mm-hmm.
every Thursday. Do this shopping.
Will bring us back to our
Picture
gorgeous
this,
location.
if you will. A 2-year-old and maybe a 9 or 10-month-old sitting side by side
Uh-huh.
in a
Because
stroller.
that works really well.
Super cute until they started that scream. And I'm not talking I'm just giggling shriek. This is that ear piercing, screaming, grabbing things, throwing things, beating on the baby. That shriek.
Oh my gosh.
And I got to where I'm like, husband's like, babe, you okay?
It's like you
and
can
I'm
handle
like,
that for a little bit, and then when it just continues, yeah.
I know. And I'm like, and I love children.
Yeah,
and
I do
have
too.
all the patience in the world, but that screaming. See, just now I'm like, okay.
I know,
I'm
I can
back.
see it. You're like,
I know.
oh, I'm back in that
It
spot.
it was that bad. But I'll also say a lot of that came from and I am going to judge here. There's really poor parenting going on with the addressing, because it was ignore, ignore, ignore. and then hit them. Ignore,
does that
ignore,
do?
and then hit them and scream at them. And then it becomes sad, but I'm still hating the shrieking.
Right.
But, and it just reminded me, because I failed many times at the parent thing.
Oh, me too.
I am not going to tell you.
I still am.
I got it all right, because I did not. But I think the best thing, and we talked about this just a little bit ago, for those little ones, they look to you for consistent guidelines and instruction because they don't have anything figured out. They don't even know how to control themselves, and you need to help them
Right.
with that. No is okay to say.
Kids need boundaries. They search for boundaries. When they
Yes.
don't have the boundaries put into place, they continue, and they don't. If it's like a hug, like a
It
boundary is like a
It's
hug
safe in
for
those
them, and
boundaries.
it makes them know that they are loved, that they are cared
Yes.
for. And when they don't have it, it's just this open expanse of
They don't know.
they just flail in their minds, you know, and like in their
Yeah.
bodies and stuff. But yeah, I completely agree. And there's different ways to provide boundaries, and obviously at different ages.
Oh, for sure.
You know, different things that
Yes.
you can do for boundaries. But yeah, I think that's, you have to be able to tell your kids no.
Yes.
You
And
have to be able to tell your teenagers
consistently,
no.
When you say no, if they continue, no matter how many times it takes in the beginning, you have to stop and address it every single time. So they understand clearly when mom or dad does say this,
Yeah.
they mean it.
Yep.
And I need to listen now. I had a herd of kids. I mean, I needed to have boundaries in order
Absolutely.
to survive with that many kids. And yet I was not a hardcore, rigid type person. I mean, my kids were free to explore all they wanted to in boundaries. But we didn't count. We never counted. And if you count, go ahead.
I
and
did. We just did it backwards.
we just had I had no time. I would have been counting all day. I had 6 kids. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm counting. You're on 2. You got 3. Now I'm coming for you. Don't you make me. I mean,
Yep.
it just wouldn't. I needed, and it was me. I didn't have the backup. So,
Yep.
so the rule in my house is like, and my kids can all say it to this day, don't even make me count to 1.
I love that.
So, but that's just, for me, that's what worked. And I have some great tips as we go for how I got kids to chip in on housework and chores and how I knew people were pulling their weight.
I love it. I have a really funny story about counting.
I can't wait.
So we always counted with our kids, but we started at 3 and we went backwards.
Oh.
So there was an end spot, right? So if you
Yes.
go 1, 2, 3, where's the end, right? So there's
the numbers
infinity.
go for-
So we started with 3, 2, and 1, right?
Oh.
3, 2, you better be moving. If we get to 1, you're in trouble, you know?
Then you really better be moving in the opposite.
So Aaron brings our oldest to a motorcycle show. He
Yes.
was 2. He was
Ooh.
2. And
There's a lot to see.
brought
Shiny
him.
things.
So he didn't bring anything for him to drink, and he was thirsty. The options at this motorcycle event were beer or Pepsi. And so he was like, well, we're going to go with Pepsi because that's the obvious choice of those two. There's like
That
no
won't
water
put me
fountains.
in
There's
jail,
nothing,
so-
right? There's just that.
Oh.
So he gets them, and of course they're like the giant
Huge.
Pepsis because
Yes.
there's only one size of
It's like
huge.
as big as
you
his
know?
cute little
It is like his
2-year-old.
little hands. Well, the straw was broken, not
Oh, so it
intentionally, but it was
wouldn't
broken,
sip.
right? So he could barely get any out. And he's like, okay, this works out. This is pretty good. He can barely get any.
Oh,
now, our
sure.
kids didn't drink pop. Like, this was not a thing that they did. We
So
barely
this
gave them
was-
sugar. Like,
yeah.
this was not a thing that he's ever been exposed to. And so he's kind of sipping on this. Well, all of a sudden, because my oldest is extremely crafty and can find his way out of any situation, he figured out how to make the straw work.
Really?
He drank most of the pop very quickly, and all of a sudden he was like on speed. I mean, just on speed, right? So they have these show bikes, and they're beautiful, and there's the velvet ropes around them.
Oh, for
so
sure.
You can't go and touch them.
Chrome and glitter
And he is running under these ropes, and Aaron is trying to catch him, and he goes, 3, and my son goes, 2, 1, and takes off. Takes off running, and I was like, He gets home
man.
and he walks in first and he says, "I'm sorry." That was all he said was, "I'm sorry." As he enters the door and it was the funniest thing. It was so crazy.
Oh,
You
I
didn't
can
mention the worst
picture
part
this.
about it.
What was the worst
The
part?
worst part was the motorcycle that he ran in by, like the grouping of motorcycles. One of them was painted orange. It was kind of a tacky bike, but it was gorgeous and God knows how much money.
Right.
And but it was like a hunting theme, and this guy had all these furs and skulls and antlers. And he picked up the antlers and started running
I
toward the
forgot about
bike, and
that.
I'm like instantly over the line and grabbing my kid, but it was like was like from 0 to 90 in like a second. It was unreal.
Oh, those little ones.
Oh man.
Oh, those little ones.
Yep.
Oh.
But that was the funniest part where he was like, 3, 2, 1.
I know how this
And
goes.
go.
Oh,
Yes.
the little
Yep.
ones in those situations, man.
It is. And now they're like 19, 18, 14.
See? And now you're at a different phase.
It's funny though. There's been a couple times because I don't remember when we like phased out the counting thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
There wasn't like
Oh,
an
sure.
age where it just
It just
stopped.
kind of happens.
Man, there have been a couple times when
You-
they were in their teens and I looked at them and I just wanted to count. And I'm like, well, that's not going to do anything right now, but I just wanted to. Like, it would make me feel better, you know? It's just, yep.
Yep, I think pull out the counting thing.
Yep.
Just, we're going to try this again.
Yep.
Oh, man.
So let's
kids.
start today
Yes.
with littles, right? And we'll work our way up.
Yes.
But I want to talk about like when you first bring your babies home
Oh,
and
scary.
learning how to have grace with yourself.
Oh, for sure. Especially if it's the
With-
first one.
Yes. So we'll address that and then we'll address like when you get multiples because it's very, very different each
It's
time.
still kind of doable when you have
Yeah.
two because you've got two arms. And then the third one.
Yeah. When they outnumber you, you're like, oh, yep. But you know, you bring that first baby home and you have quite literally no idea what to do, even though you've read all the books and you've done all the
Oh,
classes
isn't that-
and you've
I
done all
mean,
of that. And you're
that
like,
first
wait.
one in the prep
wait.
you put into it.
Oh, yeah. Did you totally prep for your first?
I read all this stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to, know it, everything, get
Mm-hmm.
it all right. And you're so excited and waiting that whole time. And then you have this baby and you're in the hospital and it's great. And they're doing
Isn't
a
it?
bath.
It's like a
and
little scene from a
so
movie.
good. And then you're in the wheelchair getting pushed out and you're like, oh, reality is really, really hitting hard.
Like you have a human in your arms.
Yeah. And
You didn't
close
come into the
behind it
hospital with a
for
human, but
moms
yeah.
is the hormones.
Oh.
So
Did you have postpartum?
I did not.
I did. And
I
it was
did
it was
not.
bad.
So
it was really
I
bad.
have really learned a lot about it. I have a number of dear friends and daughter that really went through that, and I have gained just tremendous sympathy and respect for women that are going through that. And I recognize how blessed I was to have had the labor and deliveries that I had, and like I didn't have colic and I didn't have, so I'm just all like, well, this is a norm. And my doctor's like, this is not
Right.
normal. And he even went so far as to say, I'm going to suggest something to you. Don't talk to other new moms about these same things with them because they will not like you for very long. And I'm like, what? And then I realized, because I just probably came across all like,
Yeah. No, I get that. I do. I mean, because there were a lot of people that I talked to that didn't have
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that we did. Now, I had a crazy long labor with my first.
Okay.
He was 41 hours.
hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, see? So I'm all like, oh, well, that's great for you.
You
But my second two were very
a
fast.
warrior.
You know, my second two. But my first one, I had been dilated to a 1 for 6 weeks prior to having him. He was
at
4
a
days
5
late.
for 4.5 weeks before I had him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so, you know, anyways, the whole thing, you go through all of this, you think that you're prepared, you bring your baby home, and then you just kind of sit. I remember just sitting on my couch with the baby on my lap. I was probably nursing him or something. and just going, I've never felt so lost in my entire life.
What do I do?
And then you have like the super happiness because you're like, I have a baby. And then you have the super sadness 2 seconds later because you're like, oh my gosh, all this hormones are, washing over me.
Everything in
And
a
then you're trying to figure out if you're breastfeeding, you have to try to figure out,
Are they getting enough?
like, are you nursing them correctly? Why won't they latch? Why won't this? So the way that I would describe it is it's just messy. The
Yes.
first, I'd say 6 weeks to 3 months is just messy.
And we're not talking just diapers.
No, the house is messy. Your
Everything.
relationship, if you're married, is messy.
Yeah,
If you are
it
not
changes the
married, it's
dynamics.
messy. Like there's,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times, like my husband and I went through a lot of the classes together and things like that,
Sure.
right? But again, I feel like some of it, and he can attest to it because he's sitting here, he felt left out for part of it as well because I was nursing the baby.
For sure.
24/7, that was my job, was to keep
Yes.
this baby alive,
Yes.
and functional and all of that. And so all of a sudden it went from like the two of us and, oh, we love each other and this is so wonderful and it's just the
Yeah.
two of us to this little invasion of all of that.
That
the
demands-
intimacy was gone and the,
Yeah.
the connectiveness, even the attention, all of that. If I had it to do again, I wish I would have known ahead of time. I don't know how to do that though. You know what I'm saying? But I wish
Right.
I would have been more sensitive to that ahead of time
For
because
sure.
I became very, very selfish. Like, well, it's all about me right now. Like we have to take care of me. And it was almost like he didn't even exist, And
Which
so I feel
can
like
cause
that's
that
really,
rift
it
in
was
a
horrible
relationship.
for our marriage.
And there can just be resentment of
Yeah.
this tiny little human that demands all your time.
Yes.
And that's just the thing. It hits real fast. This is a 24/7 job. This
It
doesn't
is.
go away. I'm never off the clock.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And
it's,
then I got someone sniffing around wanting attention. Are you kidding? But I'm like, well, of course, because that's my primary relationship. And
Oh,
all of a sudden
yeah.
it's like,
oh yeah. Yeah. But to be able to, I guess to talk about that ahead of time before you have the baby is so important.
yes.
Hey,
Yes.
you're going to be deprived for a little while and I'm sorry. Like
Yeah.
I don't, because especially as a brand new mom the first time, you don't know what that feels like. Second, third, fourth, whatever, you're more prepared for
Oh,
it.
yes.
But that first time is so life-changing
Everything's new.
for you and then like I said with me, I had postpartum so bad and I didn't know it, right? So I was not aware of this.
Right.
I had to be told
Oh,
gently and wonderfully by my husband that I did.
yeah.
And he was like, hey, this is what I've been noticing. So then I talked to my midwife about it and, we were able to kind of navigate
Yes.
things. But I myself did not know that I was dealing with that.
That makes me wonder, and maybe they do now. Obviously, I'm way beyond even remotely having children. But, like, where are the classes for expectant fathers? This is what to expect. These are the signs to watch
Right.
for to help your wife. This is what postpartum looks like because it can look very different. Woman
For me, it
to
looked.
woman.
I was angry a lot. I was not myself. I was very,
Yes.
very angry. I was cocooned around the baby.
Yeah.
That was, more than normal.
Okay.
And I mean, maybe he can say other things that I was, but I was not
Speak
a
the
kind.
truth with
no, but
love.
this
No.
is genuine. I was not a kind human, right?
Right.
So if you're in a marriage that's
transparency is
already
beautiful.
not doing great, right?
For
and then you
sure.
bring a child into this world, I do feel like that's where a lot of marriages either make it or break it.
I agree
because I have a
completely.
tremendously understanding husband.
Yes.
Not everybody does. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
so
like
right.
but had I known that ahead of time about myself, I think I could have been
being
prepared.
armed with information.
Right.
Even though it's going to be a brand new experience. And there's always going to be that element of not being able to be fully prepared for it. At least you know that it's normal.
Right. Right.
And you can maybe better know what to watch for, like the little warning signs that, oh, hey, this is going on with me, or
Yeah.
being aware of that. I don't know. I'm very thankful. that you had somebody like that.
I
in
am
your
too.
life. Maybe because I wasn't married to somebody who would have been like that. Somebody just said, we'll
You were
give her a
protected.
good
Yeah, I agree.
kid because it's all on her. So,
No, I totally agree with that. You know, and then as the baby gets a little bit older, I feel like the expectations that moms put on themselves to get their bodies back or to normalize or to get back to who they were before. I'm sorry, you're never going to be the person you were before you had kids. There is not
Never.
your DNA gets changed when you are pregnant. Did you know that?
yes.
Like it gets rewritten.
the blood
Yes.
is all, yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, I have that O negative blood thing. So for me, it was a crash course in what happens if my baby doesn't have my blood type. My blood will literally attack my child's. It recognizes it as a foreign
Okay. Yeah.
deal. So I had to get a shot at a certain point to prevent me from doing the antibodies. But all my kids are all 4 were the negative, just like I was. 2 have the positive. But it's just astonishing what the human body, what a woman's body goes through
Right.
during pregnancy and that nurturing and growing a child.
Yeah.
Everything is changed from the inside out.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that it's bad because
No, it's a beautiful and
beautiful.
amazing thing. I mean, like we've talked about before, I couldn't tan before I got pregnant, and now I can. You know, they're like, and my feet grew a half a size with each kid too. But there are things about me that were not.
Right.
They're not the same. So I think as moms, we need to stop trying to get back to who we were
Oh yes.
and
Please,
learn to
please,
love ourselves
please.
for who we are. Learn to love our tiger stripes. Learn to love the extra that we have on our bodies that makes us cuddly.
This beautiful
know?
body that grew and nurtured, protected, and birthed this amazing human.
Yeah.
And then sustained it, and then is the person it goes to for love and
Yes.
all.
Yes.
I know it's, and again, and I'm going to go right back to social media has made things so much worse. I would
Right, you see
imagine.
these celebrity-
I
Go
have
ahead.
to intervene real quick. You guys keep talking about all the work moms do. Do you know how much dads do? I have to throw this out there. We have to buy you dinner, get you to like us in the first place, then put
I'm
the
going to
baby
take your
in there.
microphone away from
And
you.
I mean, that's a lot of work.
I'm going to take your microphone
All the-
away.
I
You
mean-
get to do the fun stuff.
That was
Put us in that condition and then walk away.
Right? They had to
So,
get us sandwiches.
but I did not have that added burden of social media making me think that some of these women that I see with the super toned and it's like, oh, I just gave birth like 17 hours ago. And
Right.
and again, exaggerate, but they make it look, well, it's so easy. You just bounce back and it's this.
They
And
make it look like this is what you're supposed to do, and if you
Yeah.
don't, you failed.
Yeah, it's so
I think that is
bad.
unreal. It's just yeah.
so bad
It is.
for people because it's hard enough as it is on its own without other people saying, oh, look at me, aren't I
Right.
amazing? And the perfect picture, I'm strolling with all my toddlers down the sidewalk in our perfect, high-end
Yeah.
clothes and everybody's looking great. And I'm like, probably took you 47 hours to shoot that because the kids are crying and screaming and spilled this or that. And
Yep.
it's not the norm. Ladies, don't even look at social media with your little baby. None of this, don't. Unless it's,
And like
the messy, raw truths of it.
But like you and I were just saying, your experiences with it were totally different
Very
than mine.
different.
And I think that is the other thing that we need to remember as moms. Is
Yes.
that everybody lives their own story. Everybody has their own experience. Everybody has different
Yeah.
experiences with it. Some people are sicker than sick, and some people are not. Even for me, I wasn't with my boys. I totally was with Addison, And again, with her, I walked out of the hospital in my regular clothes because I gained 14 pounds total with her.
Yeah.
Then I gained it because I got to eat for the first time in
Yes.
9 months. So I gained 25 pounds after I had her.
Yes.
Because I was like, food is the best,
No.
But again, we judge ourselves by looking at others instead of
know.
looking at ourselves and saying, you know what? I kept all the kids alive today.
Yay me.
I cleaned some things. You know,
Yes.
I mean, some days that's it.
And celebrate that.
That
we did it.
That's it. You know,
did it.
And so again, set your standards not against your neighbor or against what you see on TV or against
don't
what you see on social media.
comparison.
Just compare yourself, because your kids are not going to remember if your house was clean. Your kids are not going to remember all of the like fancy little things that you do,
Ugh.
but they will remember how they were treated. They will remember
For
being
sure.
loved. They will remember if you took the time to spend with them rather than cleaning all the time to try to
right.
keep up with
So my
whatever.
house looks perfect. What's more important
Your
at
kids,
that time? Yeah.
you know, and we both
The
have kids
people.
that are older, and so we know like the time goes like that.
Oh,
but when
man.
you are in those years when your children are young,
Yes.
it feels like every day is about a week long,
Oh.
and
Like
you are
it'll never
exhausted 24/7. You
Yeah.
just feel like a complete hot mess all of the time.
Oh, I remember.
And so what I'm saying is cherish those moments. And I know it's so cliche to say that.
I know
and it's
somebody
so
right now
oversaid
just got
and whatever.
pooped on or thrown up on, and they're like, "Really?" And
Yes.
I'm like, "Yes,
Yes.
really."
Yes, and I remember like moms that had older children when my kids were younger, and I was like, sure, you
Yeah,
know.
I'll trade you right now.
But isn't that funny, because I can remember them saying that, and now I'm saying that, you
It's
know,
real.
and I don't know.
Yeah.
I do. I just those snuggles and
I
the little moments
know.
and the stories and the songs and, you know, all of that. I really do. I miss it. I think that it's just
I know.
one of the sweetest times.
I think that's why we get grandkids, because it's like we miss it, so then we get doses of it, but
Right.
don't have to do it. so-
Right. And you have just like that hot second in between where you've got just teens and like not grandkids yet. And you're like, okay, we'll get there eventually.
You will.
You know?
You will. Yeah. I would tell moms, live your own story. Don't try to make it something.
Right.
Don't try to create this picture perfect world. Don't have this idea in your mind of this is how it's going to look. Because that little precious little baby, they will steer things
Yep.
in whatever direction they're supposed to go.
Yeah.
And life is going to look that way. Go with it and
Mm-hmm.
write your life story,
Yeah.
not what you think it's supposed to look like.
Because those are then expectations. And in my mind, expectations are not a great thing, because quite often they don't come true, and then you're disappointed. And
Yeah,
so then
what
you're living in a
happens when-
constant cycle of not feeling like you're enough and not feeling like things are going right
I
or
failed.
whatever.
I failed.
Yeah. And so I always say just lower your expectations to a manageable level. It needs to
Yes.
be.
What
Yeah.
I found though is you can always meet that bar, but you often exceed it. And that leaves
Absolutely.
you feeling a sense of accomplishment, as opposed to my house
Never
is going to
reaching
be
it, right.
immaculate. This is going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then time after time, disappointment, disappointment, disappointment. And it's no wonder these moms are just going through it with the mental health and the demands and all of it.
Yeah.
Moms, man, good job to you.
So how about we skip ahead to like the toddler years?
All right.
No.
No?
No.
Why?
Mine.
Oh,
No.
now I'm on the same page.
Mine.
They are the most selfish
No.
creatures on the planet.
Yes.
They,
Oh my gosh.
to every toddler, they know what the center of the universe is. It's me.
Yes. They don't have
My
any
desire,
questions about
what
that
I want.
whatsoever.
I don't even have to stop to go to the bathroom because I wear my bathroom
Yep.
around. Yeah.
Yep.
Those little buggers, and I love them. They are
Oh,
fearless
absolutely.
adventurers
Yep.
often.
Yep.
They aren't worried about what anybody thinks.
Nope.
They know what they want and they go after it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have all these amazing qualities in this tiny little body that's going to die if we don't put parameters around
Right.
it. Because
They
they'll
can't
find
have
themselves
crusts
in
on any of their sandwiches. They like something one day, and the next day they absolutely hate it, and it's the worst in the whole entire world, and you've already bought it, so you're like, great. But then like 2 weeks later, they like it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
My grandson's meltdown. This was not, I mean, he's older now,
Yeah.
but I cut his peanut butter and jelly sandwich into triangles and not squares.
I can't believe you did that, Heidi.
I know. He made sure that he let me know how he felt about it too.
Yeah.
And it was just a meltdown, wailing, like, how could you?
Like, you have offended him on the deepest level possible.
I'm like, but if you turn it like this, it kind of looks like a square, and then that makes it worse because
Right.
and I'm just like,
Or if you give them the blue cup and not the green cup.
oh my
or
goodness.
each other, like our boys were pretty close in age, and so if I gave them each other's things, it was like
Oh yeah.
we always had to get them the
Oh.
same kind of like Christmas gifts and birthday gifts and stuff, so they each had one of whatever it was, because otherwise it was like, why does he have it and I don't?
Oh,
They used to measure their
just-
cups. They would walk up, or they would count their snacks to make sure that they had the exact same
yeah.
number of
Cut
snacks.
a donut in half.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
How come they get the bigger
guaranteed
side?
Someone else's is
Yep.
always bigger.
Has more sprinkles. Yep.
How about where they have to sit in a car?
Oh, we always had a van, except for one year we had a pickup truck,
Oh,
and it had just the bench, and we had 3 kids at
Yes.
this point.
Line
you
'em
know,
up.
see if I can find some of those pictures, because they were just, yep. And then the heat went out in the van. So the heat went out in the van in the middle of, or the truck in the middle of the wintertime, and so they always had to be in like,
Blankets and-
no, they were in like their snow gear like all the time until we got it fixed. It was, so then they were like very close
man.
together because they, snow gear is so huge on you, but yeah.
Oh,
No, but we
toddlers.
always called, it was like, the terrible twos, whatever, but we always called it the theatrical threes. Because
yes. I actually
it
love the
was-
toddler years. I'm not going to lie.
No, I taught preschool. I
I
totally get it. I
loved it.
love them.
My biggest tip:
Mm-hmm.
get down on their level and explore with them.
Yes.
Take an interest
Yes.
in
Yep.
them. Don't try to.
Yep.
Hey, look at this over here. If they are fascinated with whatever this is,
Yeah.
get fascinated with them.
To see the world through a toddler's eyes is amazing.
well, 'cause it's like
they're
seeing the world
learning
at that
so
level.
fast, and they're
It's
learning so
remarkable.
many things, and they are little sponges. They
They'll
just
soak it up.
So you got to be careful what you're putting in, because they absorb it. I will tell you a story about a toddler years that so we were sitting at the dinner table. This is before we had Addison, and we Erin's already laughing about it. We're sitting at the dinner table.
Yes.
And we used to have take turns praying, and so it was Alex's turn to pray. And we were being all serious, and he was like, "Thank you for my dad, and thank you for my mom, and thank you for my fucking brother." Oh! Erin and I opened our eyes, and we could not look at each other. And he was dead serious, like the whole, and then he just kept going, like kept praying with the rest of the things he was praying about. And Erin and I are dying. Like, I'm like biting the inside of my cheeks, trying not to laugh.
I
And we were
believe
like,
God had a chuckle
"Okay,
himself.
honey, that we can't use that word." He was like 3. It was amazing.
3. That's
3.
So
Yeah.
my oldest at 3, and this would have been at my parents' there was a big gathering there. I think it was a baptism or something. So the whole extended family is there. So I'm there, and here's my sweet, precious 3-year-old, and very observant and smart, and parent's dog comes walking through, and he's an older little dog who had a problem with always having a red rocket, shall
dear.
we say.
Yes.
I see my 3-year-old start watching, and I'm like, oh no. So in the dog's name, which didn't help, is Tinker.
Oh,
so,
dear. Yep.
So said 3-year-old chooses to proclaim to my grandmother, so his great grandma, "Hey, great grandma, Tinker has a penis just like I do." You have to understand, in that family, they
Yes.
made all the names for it. You never call things what they are. I called things what they were.
Right.
But
Anatomically
they
correct.
call them
Yes.
Winkies and Willies and all
Oh
the
my
things.
gosh.
So
Yep.
the look, I mean, it was dead quiet. And now there's my 3-year-old Tinker with the red rocket and my grandmother looking at me like I just, how dare, but
How does he even know that word?
so, but then he also called me in the bathroom once during a bath, so excited. Mom! And you just know they're so excited.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay. My 10 testicles float. And I'm like,
Yes.
yes, son. Look. And I'm like, yep, they are. So,
Yep. So when I was teaching preschool, we always joked that we were going to write a book about all the things that we
Kids
never did because we
say.
were so busy. But like we always joked that all the teachers were going to get together and we were just going to write a book about all the things
Yeah.
that they said because toddlers are amazing with the things that they say. I
my oldest
absolutely
is
love
gonna
it.
kill me. So
I absolutely love it. You know what? It's all good. It's all good.
Or the book about what parents say that they never thought they would have said.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have one of those just from the other day. So I had to tell my 18-year-old the other day to not suck up the fire with a vacuum. I am not joking. His sister had lit a candle and he was vacuuming and he walked over and was trying to vacuum. And I looked at him and I was like, do not vacuum the fire. And then I was
can
like,
you imagine?
oh my gosh, that is a sentence I never thought I was going to say.
I know that I have a million of them, and I can't think of it, but I know that now for a day or two, I'm going to be thinking of all the things like, did I just put that together in a sentence and it made sense in this moment?
There was one time I walked downstairs in our basement and we have like older like paneling stuff on the bottom half of our walls. And I walked up and I was like, is that a sock on my wall? And it was a sock stuck to the wall in the basement. I was like, is that a sentence I just said? And is there really a sock stuck to my wall? And the kids are like, yeah, we got it to stick there. Like, okay, yep,
Oh,
But over the
kids.
years when they were younger, I can't even imagine all the different things that I said to the boys when they were
I
younger. Like,
know.
don't do this or whatever. And that's what it was.
Just like, did I really have to say
And you're like, I can't make this
that?
stuff up. Oh my gosh, that's the other one.
Oh,
so we had a
don't
really
pee on
long
the chickens.
We
Yeah,
had a
I'll-
really long bathroom, right? So it was just narrow and long. So it was like
Yes.
bathtub, sink,
Sure,
toilet, right? So
sure.
just kind of walked in, and then like the window was at the end of it. And I walked in one day. It was kind of like a cream colored, like the color of your purse curtain.
Perfect.
And I walk in and I was like,
Huh.
why is the bottom of this curtain yellow from like here down, right? Just yellow. So I'm like, boys, come in here. I'm like, what is with that curtain? Oh, Mom, check it out. Okay. So, and they were so proud, right? So they stood next to each other and they were like, we stand here at the sink and we see who can pee into the toilet from here. And I'm like, like, oh my gosh. Now they're not that young. They're like 4 and 6 at this point, you know? And I'm like, don't ever do
Don't
that again.
do
And I like
that.
just took the curtain down and threw it away because I'm like, we're not even going to start.
Oh, man.
And I just was like, and then I realized how much pee was like in the register and nope.
Boys are amazing.
Boys. And they were so
So-
proud. They were so proud.
Yeah.
This is not a proud moment, boys. It's not a good
no,
thing.
I know. They do get proud about things like that because
Mm-hmm.
my youngest two, every morning, I lived in Lowell and we had acreage. We had horses and chickens and all this stuff. And every freaking morning, they'd be out there on the deck. Nope. And all of a sudden I'm like, stop peeing on the chickens. The chickens were down and they were like trying to get the chickens. And they're like, oh, sometimes they run after. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Oh
Yep.
man.
Yep.
But
Little boys.
fun
Little boys and pea
times.
stories. There's probably 1,000 of them.
Fun times.
It is. It is.
Oh,
And then you get to that elementary stage.
yes.
I feel like all of my kids were very, very sweet up until like 6th grade. So like through 5th grade, they're still like, they're pretty sweet. Like
Okay.
sweet, you know, at that point. Still.
Yes.
And then not as
Something.
much after that.
Mine somehow, and again, I think it was the universe saying, we got to cut this one a break. And And they were always, I always loved being around them. They were just fun, happy kids, and it was amazing. But then I find out that behind the scenes when I wasn't around, apparently there was some issues, and they're like, Mom, seriously. It's like, okay, well, thank you for putting on a show for me, but
Mine were just the opposite. Everybody else would always tell us how great our kids were. I was like, are you sure? Like, have you met them before?
these kids, so
No, I have very good kids, but yeah, we always got like at parent-teacher conferences and everything. They were like,
Yes.
oh, they're so great. And Aaron and I were like,
can we have those
What?
kids? Because I don't know who you're sending home.
right.
So, yeah, I know that my kids weren't really the quote unquote norm in all aspects. And I recognize that. And I'm not saying that they're perfect. They weren't, but they were remarkably good and just funny and nice and kind. But yeah, I guess they squabbled and bickered behind the scenes. They share stories. I'm like, I don't want to know this now. I have this dream in memory in my head of what it was like, and you guys were amazing all the time. They're like, okay. So but they also said the reason they didn't get into lots of trouble or choose to go along with it, they're like, Mom, you were a paramedic. You knew all the cops. You knew all
nice.
the firefighters.
Yep.
You knew all of them. Do you think we'd get away with anything? And I'm like, no, as a matter of fact, I know you wouldn't. So
Yeah.
So
I used to tell my kids that I was like, so I grew up in New York and I'm a redhead. And I'm like,
oh, you don't
and-
have a chance.
And your father, you know, he's kind of naughty too. I'm like, so we've invented most things that you're going to try to pull on us.
I think that
I'm
was
like,
the
don't
problem.
even think about it, because between the two of us, we've already done it. We've already been there. We've already seen that.
Yeah.
We're currently
there,
writing the
done
book
that.
on it.
I know.
And you know, now that they're older and they hear a lot of our stories, they know that we were actually serious. Like we
Yeah.
were very valid on that.
You know, I think maybe that was part of why I think my kids were so easy, because I was so ready. I know
love it.
all the tricks.
I love it.
know how to sneak out. I know this. I know that. I did. You know, I know it all.
Yeah.
I'm like, bring it.
Yep.
I never had to use my skills.
I told my son, my middle son, the other day, we were talking about signatures on something, and I was like, oh man, I had my mom's signature down pat.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, for what? And I was like, oh, okay. So back in the day, I'm like, we
You'd
used to
have
have
to
to
get
sign
your
notes, you know,
parents
for
would need to
things. And I was
sign
like,
things.
I could do grandma's signature 100% perfect.
Oh, yeah, I had it.
And then I showed him like on
completely
the
down.
whiteboard. I was like, no, like
Yeah.
I still can do
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah, I can get the
but
slant right, the shape, all of it. But
He's like, well, what? He goes, why would we need to know that these days? I'm like, you don't. I'm like, everything's digital now,
I
so you
know.
don't need to know it. I'm
No.
like, but like,
back then,
if we needed a note to get out of something,
how
yeah.
sad kids don't get the joy of that kind of
Man,
stuff.
they don't get to forge anything anymore. Like they just get to hack
man.
stuff now.
Elementary kids.
Yeah.
Their entire world at that point explodes into something else, and they're learning new dynamics of interacting. as
Social
they're
becomes
growing.
in elementary school, friends become everything. Social
They
becomes
do. Which
That's like the
means
beginning of
parents,
that.
They kind of want to step away. That's I think of it as their beginning steps away
right.
from mom and dad, and you have to allow it. Don't smother your children.
No.
Don't smother them, and you have
At
to
any stage, do not smother them.
have to with anything.
Right.
But
Yeah. No, I mean,
You
that's
know?
true though.
don't be afraid to let your kids fail.
Yes.
They need to fail so they learn. It's cause and effect.
Yes.
It's real life. Give your children the opportunity to try it how they think they want to do it and not succeed.
Right.
Don't take over. Don't do it for them. Don't always swoop in and rescue them, because they will not know what to do when they are
Because you're
away
not
and
doing
out.
them a service later on. And I think a
No.
lot of times parents forget this isn't their end game.
No.
They're not raising children, they're raising adults, right? And
Yes.
so fast forward, 10 years from elementary school and they're graduating high
Yeah.
school. And then if you've done everything for them, if you've sheltered them from things, if you've, never let them fail. If you've
Right.
never what kind of adults are they going to be straight out of high school? They're going to be paralyzed
They'll be
with
Mom,
fear
come and do
and
my
with,
laundry, and I don't have a lunch, and I don't have this.
Right.
If your kid forgets their lunch, if they're a kid that brings a lunch to school, let them go hungry.
Yep.
It's just, if you've reminded them, let them go hungry. If they waited to the last minute and that huge important project due tomorrow, don't stay up all night and do it for them.
Oh, here's another tip. Go to the dollar store and purchase at least 5 poster boards to keep in your house at all times
Yes.
for the 9 o'clock at night project that your
That
child will
requires a
suddenly
poster
forget
board.
that they had to do. So
Yes.
keep poster board in your house.
keep it
I
in
can't
their
even tell
house.
you how many times that has come
Yes.
in handy for us.
But make your kids do the assignment.
oh, yeah.
Make them do it. Don't hover, don't suggest, don't change it, don't let them learn.
Because if you do it for them, then they don't feel like theirs would have been good enough.
They feel
Their
like they
knowledge
weren't
is
good
good
enough.
enough or whatever. You can help them with it.
For
That's
sure.
fine,
Yes.
But really, if you think about like a lot of these like science fairs and projects, it's just the parents showing off. The parents are
know.
going, look what I did. And the other parents going, look what I did. Look what. But where does that leave the kids?
Yeah.
It was the same thing when I was coaching. We had a couple other teams that would cheat. And we've talked about that before,
Yes.
because they always felt like their coaches didn't think that they could do a good enough job by cheating.
Oh, it's robbing the kids
But
of
it's
so
that
much.
it's that same thing,
So, I have
like
a perfect example for this. Pine Wood Derby races.
oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
It's not about the kids. It's a bunch of dads.
It is a bunch of dads.
showing off what they've done with a block of
Yep.
wood and some wheels.
Yep.
But you cannot tell me your precious little Johnny made that.
Nope.
It didn't happen.
And then it makes it so unfair for the parents that do make their kids do it themselves. You know
and
what I'm
then
saying?
those children never
Yes.
win.
They never win.
No.
No, the whole system's broken when parents intervene like that.
And
you
it's
know,
so fun watching the kids do their thing.
to see them light up with pride
Yes.
and ownership of something that they did. You can't replace that.
Yeah, don't take that
Yeah.
away from them. It's good. But
It
don't
is.
get me wrong. I get it. I've had that this is a big project and
Right.
it has to be done and I know that feeling and I've had to bite it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
step away from it and just say they have to bear the consequences.
And now, don't get me wrong, because during COVID, which was a
Oh.
whole different set of rules, there were times where I literally sat and did their assignments for them.
Yes.
They were so beyond
That was
overwhelmed
the
and
worst.
stressed out and
Yes.
everything, that this was not normal
Yes.
every day. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
So during moments like that, if there is a crisis moment,
Yep.
maybe not a global pandemic, but like a crisis moment, yes, those are moments that you
For
can, right? Because
sure.
there's no,
I agree.
I always try to weigh with all of the parenting, is me intervening and helping going to help them? Like, is their level of anxiety that they're getting from this worth the pain that I'm putting them through by pushing them through it? You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
you always have to weigh that. Each individual child is
Yeah.
different. Each individual situation is different,
Yes.
you know? And so I always try to kind of gauge that, you know, because I'll push and push and push.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, and I
Okay.
see their heart and I see where
Yeah.
they're at. And I'm like,
Okay, they're at the end
this
of
is no
themselves.
longer worth it. You know, this
right.
fight, I don't have to win it. I'm going to
Right.
just, you know what I'm saying? So again, rigid parenting, it has no place in my world. Having no grace with your kids.
I probably
and
sound black and white, and I'm not.
No, and I'm
I
not
am
either.
So not. My kids just had from the get-go clearly defined parameters. Like
Right.
these are the absolutes. These are the
Yes.
things that don't budge, and that means you treat people in your home with respect.
Yep.
We are kind, and everybody helps in the
Mm-hmm.
house. That was just something I don't budge on.
Right.
That's a rule. But I was always willing and to talk with them about something.
Yeah.
And if I was wrong, I would change it. And I would own it and say that I was. And I think in the elementary age group, that starts happening. And parents need to be aware that there's going to be times where they're going to find out their parenting style was not correct and it
Right.
was wrong. There's no shame in teaching your child what it looks like to apologize and say, I was wrong.
We have to. We have to model that for them. That is
Yes.
so important. I feel like there are a ton of times where I got that so wrong. You know, my pride was so in my way. I am very stubborn, obviously, and I was very, very full of pride. And again, those expectations of like, this is how my life has to look,
Right.
influenced my parenting and all of that. And I'm like, oh, I really messed up.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I totally messed up with Addison. She had been helping me with Logan's party the entire time,
Yes.
right? For everything. She's been shopping with me. Day of the party, I go get the rest of the food, and I don't bring her.
Oh.
And she texted me, and she was so upset. Like, why didn't you? And I'm like, I didn't even think about it. I just needed to go run and grab a couple things.
All of it,
And so she's like, oh, she goes, it's whatever. And I always know, like, that's I said, no, it's not whatever. I said, this was important to you.
yes.
And I messed up. And I'm really, really sorry. I said, I feel awful.
Beautiful lesson.
There's nothing I can do to change it.
Right.
But I needed her to know that I knew that it was important
Yes.
to her, you know,
Yes.
rather than just blowing her off. And I think quite often at the elementary age, our children are like, look, check it out. Da, da, da. You know, and they're
know.
telling us things all the time.
They
and they are
are.
like, they come home from school, or actually a little bit after school, like later in the night, they'll start telling us all these things, right?
Yes.
And you have two choices in that moment. You can go on with your busy life and your
And
busy
pretend
schedule
you're listening.
and tell them to go do their thing, you know, or I guess three options, right? You
Yes.
can pretend that you're listening.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the best option that's very, very, very necessary is that you actually listen to them. You
Yes.
stop what you're doing. Put your phone down.
Down.
Put your phone down. Throw it across the room if you have
Put
to.
it down.
Whatever.
Put it down. Put it down.
Pay attention to them, meaning
Look.
you are responding
Look.
with,
Them in the
oh,
eye.
and then you're not just going, oh, cool, but actually interact and ask questions
Yes.
about stuff, right? Because this is one of the things that I know that we got right as parents. We listened to our children when they
Yeah.
were young. And now that they are older and through their teen years, they talk to us about stuff when it
That's
really
important.
mattered. And had we gotten it wrong when they were young,
Yep.
they would have not. There's no way. Mom
Yes.
didn't care about my Minecraft. Mom didn't care about Legos and all these things,
Right.
Beyblades and all these things that
Right.
they were doing. Why should I talk to her about, you know, what's going on at school or bullies or peer pressure or drugs or drinking or, you know,
Yes.
like, so I think to me, of all the advice that I give to parents, that is probably the biggest one.
It's beautiful advice.
Listen to your children.
Yes.
Because you can truly learn so much about your child
Oh, without a doubt.
when you listen. You gain their trust because they're always watching.
And they will tell you more then.
Yeah, they will. They will. And I think that is such a perfect place to end this one today.
All right.
And then next time, I think we should dive into teen years.
Ooh, are we going to go junior high and beyond?
We're going to go junior high and beyond.
Bring it.
I am so excited.
Bring it. I love that
think it's
age
gonna be
group,
awesome.
too.
I do too.
I love something about every single age.
It's
There's
know
amazing things.
It is.
It'll be
It's,
good.
it's amazing, and it's different and it's fun.
So,
So yeah,
Good
we'll bring
stuff.
some
And
good
moms
teen.
of littles, hang in there. You're doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
It's a learn as you go on the job type thing. It's
and reach out. You don't have to
Please
do this
do.
by yourself. Like, we were designed to live communally, and
Yeah.
and it really does take a village.
It does.
You know, when we think that we can do it all on our own, I think that's where we get into a really dangerous spot.
I
So
completely agree.
yes, we are here. If you guys have any questions, comment below, get a hold of us. We would love to answer any questions that you have.
Please.
And we also love littles too. So,
we
you know,
do.
invite
We're
us. We'll come hang out with them.
perfect, and we have all the answers. I mean, come on. No.
Yes, disclaimer. No, we don't.
Shoot.
I love it. Well, yeah, this was great.
It was real good.
All right. Good.
Can't
Yay.
wait
We'll
to
see you
continue
next time.
next time.
Bye.